Welcome to the COP26 Nature Newsroom here in Glasgow. Today we are welcoming Rayan Kassem. You are the Regional Director for Youth for Nature in West Asia, and you grew up in Lebanon. Can you tell us about the importance of food and nature for people in your country?
Thank you, Elise. Thank you very much for having me here. Food is essential. It's essential in Lebanon, and it's a very important part of the culture in Lebanon. And nature plays a vital role because a lot of people still depend on foraging, for example, in Lebanon, to still collect their leaves and their green vegetables as well. And so the role of nature and food plays a role within food security that is very important in Lebanon.
And can you tell us about your story in Beirut? What happened also during a time of unrest, and what is the role of nature to bring us back together and build a peaceful future?
Sadly, there's an economic crisis happening right now. So the biggest problem we have is high food prices in the country. And so the role of nature is providing a shelter or a place for people to grow food again at an affordable price, to go back to their own Mediterranean diet, which is more affordable. So the entire issue is about accessibility because we don't have enough funds to buy food from outside the country. It's about food security as well, and it's about affordability within the country as well. So it provides a shelter for people to become food secure within the country.
And Rayan, you are a very powerful youth voice you were in the UN Food System Summit. You are now here in Glasgow following the COP26 negotiations. How do you see the role of youth leaders in this transformation for something more positive for climate, people and nature? And how do you see the role of food also in the climate negotiations here in Glasgow?
So two things. Within food systems, youth are calling for the inclusion of food systems within the NDCs of countries. This is something that youth are they're trying to push forward at COP26. But in general, youth are aligned with grassroots level initiatives on the ground within nature, applying nature-based solutions, getting the stories of young people who are applying nature-based solutions on the ground, who are changing the mindset of people regarding food systems, which youth do very well. Youth are able to change their mindsets. They're able to try new things, especially when it comes to people's diets, much better than older generations.
So picking up on one of your key asks as a youth leader, you're asking governments to include food in their NDCs. Just to explain what NDCs are about, these are nationally determined contributions. So the climate action plans that governments are putting on the table as part of the Paris Agreement. Do you see any countries that are leading right now, that are ready to include food in their climate action plan? Who would be the leaders if you had to pick some governments, some leaders around the world?
All right, so in terms of that, Copenhagen, the city of Copenhagen in Denmark has the Food Shift 2030 agenda. That is great. They're trying to put the food systems on the table within the regional strategy of the city. But on a national level, in my region at least, I would say that the United Arab Emirates is pushing forward to include food systems, but it's still within a food security perspective and not in a holistic perspective regarding food systems.
And we've heard that the UAE might be hosting COP28. Sure. Next year, it will be Egypt. What does it mean for you to have Egypt as the host country for COP27, the next climate COP, and having this COP in Africa? Why is it important?
So as a youth from the Middle East, it's especially important, and this has been talked about with the youth at COP26 from the region. It's important for them to leverage civil society initiatives within the region, because civil society in the Middle East and North Africa hasn't been leveraged as much as it should be, and so this presents a great opportunity for them to be present, and to contribute to their country's NDCs, and to host maybe the COI next year, the Conference of Youth.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And now we know that ministers are meeting and negotiators are working around the clock trying to finalize the COP decision here in Glasgow. What are your top messages to the leaders who are here in Glasgow? What are your expectations? What do you want to tell them?
We were a bit ambitious at the beginning, but yesterday we had a talk, and now we know that a few of our criterias won't be in the outcomes of those decisions. So we won't have enough funds. Less than 10% of the $100 billion per year funding won't be available. We know that we're not pushing anymore for 1.5, we're pushing for 2 degrees, and we know that fossil fuels are not being mentioned. So my message isn't to decision makers, it's for civil society. We shouldn't be disappointed or disheartened. This is a push forward for us because we're leading the initiatives on the ground. So this is a sign for civil society to continue pushing forward on the initiatives that they're taking, because if it isn't for them, then probably we won't end up with the outcomes we want in 2030.
A message for hope and action for everyone, for
so.
all citizens. So actually, for the people who are watching us today, what would you tell them?
I would tell people to support youth-led initiatives. We have a youth-led initiative called Real Food Systems. We have an initiative called Act for Food, Act for Change. Youth are doing a lot of work on the ground, and this is from my perspective as a youth leader, of course, to support those initiatives, not to become disheartened, to keep the hope up, because we are leading on the challenges under very hard circumstances, especially in my region, and we're still able to produce positive results. So there's no need to be very disappointed. For sure, maybe the outcomes of COP might be a little bit disappointing, but youth-led initiatives are doing great work, and all they need is a little bit of support.
Supporting the youth leaders for a nature-positive future, and thank you so much. I support you.
Thank you, Elise. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, Elise.